When you look at this balance between right to data protection on the one hand and research on the other hand, one needs to take into consideration that also this right to research is a fundamental right. So what makes things tricky then is to bring those two, or three or four, there might be several others affected, how to bring those several fundamental rights into an appropriate balance. I think the most important pro many patients might have in their mind might not really be too realistic, which would be that there would be a direct relation between giving my data and getting a better outcome of my disease, because research needs a lot more time and needs a lot more effort than many patients might expect that it would need, and therefore chances that the person giving the data directly profits from this process in treatment is not too realistic. So I think in many cases patients need to learn to live with the expectation that there will not be any directly usable benefit for them. Medical research is very much based on personal data, and the treatment the patient receives today is possible because there were other patients generations before who were willing to give their personal data for research purposes. One very important tool is the concept of informed consent, which in its basic understanding should give the patient the right to control his or her personal information in the way he or she wants to control this. Medical data is, in the European understanding, sensitive data. Sensitive means that it is very close to the personality of the patient, and that means that the guarantees given by the law are very, very high. On a member state level, under very, very restricted circumstances, there might be scenarios where processing of sensitive personal data without informed consent of the person, of the data subject, might be legal. But there are all kinds of guarantees in place in such situations that need to protect the patient. One of them is the principle that wherever possible, the processing of personal data should be avoided. The second, therefore, anonymization should be used wherever possible. A second one would be if there is no informed consent available, normally another body, such an ethics committee or a data protection authority, so somebody who is independent from the research project, is going to look over this and is going to try to help in finding this balance between patients' interests and society's interests and researchers' interests when processing the data. I think the most important thing to think about when you decide on whether you want or not share your personal information is that you have a sufficient amount of information about in how far this data that you're giving will be treated in the way, will be processed in the way you want it to be processed, and in how far are there legal and security related and political and organizational measures taken that guarantee that you are in control of what happens with your information.